Here's where we get interesting. Before we get any deeper into the subject matter slated to be the prime topic of the evening, I would like to offer a precursor observation that will help to segue us into the gist of the issues. Many of you have called me to explain, or to ask me to explain, what is it that this good brother has accomplished? Why in the world, at least in a vast section of its academic community, the so-called intelligentsia elite, why are they so excited, as well as nervously worried, about what this brother has so eloquently done? Just what sacred cows, what scientific gods are threatened by this good brother's works? Well, today, there is much for us to explore in reference to Dr. Oyibo's work, in the hopes that we will all come away with something significant that we can all immediately apply in our daily lives. So with Dr. Oyibo's permission, we should like to explore, or at least one or two specific aspects of his brilliant works, particularly those dealing with spiritual ascension and immortality for the human species. But again, before we continue, a moment longer is needed for further clarification. Please indulge me. As a hygienic scientist and a doctor of naturopathic medicine, I have taught that freedom from the cycles of life and death, disease and pain that is immortality, are the natural cosmic divine birthrights for all humanity. This, in fact, is the unseen destiny for our species, immortality. The return of immortality and the rejoining of the cosmic consciousness awareness of man with its dark matter source. But for this to occur, human consciousness must expand to the point where it can again recall the truth of its eternal existence. We must once again embrace our multi-dimensional identity. Without this specific consciousness awareness recognition of self, of our unique purpose in the web of creation, and within its plan for transcendence, our collective journey towards enlightenment will be absolutely unbearable. It will be sordid, it will be painful, and it will be without meaning. So, beloved, for many, many years, I and other teachers of the underground metaphysical community have repeatedly taught that the Earth's consciousness is directly affected by the condition and structure of the human body and bioagenic systems. That the DNA imprint, which sets the biological structure for our body, is directly manifested through the morphogenetic energy field of the planet. Now, a morphogenetic field is a form-holding field made up of particles and antiparticles which form the template of evolutionary instructions for the consciousness transcendence of a planet as well as a single human being. The morphogenetic field allows matter and antimatter particles to build into individual forms. A person's morphogenetic field exists within the larger morphogenetic field of the entire species and the race, and around these exists the morphogenetic field of the planet that they inhabit. Now, please pay close attention. Because the subjects we are about to discuss will challenge the present academic and consciousness paradigm that we have become accustomed to, the subject of immortality and spiritual transcendence will seem to be conflicting realities, which is why I felt I must begin by offering these words. Now listen carefully. Consciousness, ascension, and immortality is a direction or path through which perceptual awareness transcends through a structured multidimensional system. When viewed for a planetary scale or on a planetary scale, the process of transcendence involves the transmutation of particles and antiparticles into progressively less denser states of matter consciousness. This then allows for a planet like Earth to rise from lower dimensional frequency bands into higher dimensional reality fields existing in 15 to 33 dimensional scales. The process of human transcendence involves this exact same formula because we are part of the greater morphogenetic field of this planet, and the progression of dimensional transcendence for the human and the planet are intertwined. Now, listen carefully. As a metaphysical hygienist, we learn that life is more than the flesh that it expresses. We understand and teach the doctrine that the flesh is quickened by the spirit, that the human body is a miraculously constructed cosmic machine composed of particles and antiparticles, all and each possessing the tones, the harmonics of the word, that word which has spoken creation into being. We understand that matter moves because it is animated by spirit. What we call the life force, vital force, the breath of Brahma, it is the vital force that quickens the flesh. Please allow me to give you a couple of examples. As a metaphysical hygienist, we come to the understanding that man is not life. Well, how could we say that? Well, man has no more to do with the movements that he thinks he performs than a piano does with the beautiful melodies extracted from its core by the hand of the master musician. Let me explain. The body is an instrument composed of matter. The piano is an instrument composed of matter. Behind the piano sits the artist, or the man, who, after building the piano, now uses it for his purposes. Without the artist, the piano would not have come into existence. It would be nothing but inert structures of wood, ivory, and steel strings. Now reverse your field of perception. Without the piano, the artist could not express to the world the beautiful tones, harmonies, frequencies, and melodies flowing through his or her body. He or she could not express the sweet dulcet tones of a bird, or the flowing brook, the wind as it touches the leaves of a tree, the laughter of children, or the thunderous music of a storm. This analogy is perfect to describe what the temple of man is and the Spirit of God is. So thus the temple of man is nothing more than the aggregate of what it is that the Spirit, in its own intelligence and mandate, brings into manifestation. And here's where we get ready to go, because right now we have someone who has just shook up the whole academic community.
That's right.
Because he has now brought God into the equation.
Yes.
Let me say that again. Scientists and their laboratories are devoid of God. They look again to reduce the world into these descriptions of the world, and thus by that description affix an egotistical application of themselves to that world, thus leaving God out of the principle. The human organism, like the piano, has nothing to do with its archetypal formation, design, organization, construction, and function. We are cosmic instruments forged by the grand architect, the master musician. Our brains, for example, do not produce thoughts, contrary to popular theories. That which we define as the brain is only a material medium through which the quality or energy we call thought is expressed. Behind thought is the power that produces thought. Behind the brain is the power that created the brain, and having produced the brain now uses it for its purpose. Overstand and understand. Wait, I'm not doing anything yet. This is